Hi guys, so I was just looking at this article in Vulture, part of New York Magazine, a guide to the many lawsuits against Diddy. And I was thinking about that and Trump as well. I did a video about Trump and how the lawfare against Trump seems to have backfired now that he has won the presidency. And it's a video that surprisingly got quite a few views, organically. So I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And so when I saw this article about Diddy, admittedly a very different case from Donald Trump's, I did think to myself, is he the latest victim of lawfare? Is this a situation, these relentless lawsuits and the high profile raids and arrests? Is this just another case of lawfare like we saw with Donald Trump? Because for a lot of people, is clearly for the jury of the public, Donald Trump was adjudicated not guilty by the American electorate, who was his, the jury of the public jury. I mean, they elected him, so that means that they're saying he's not guilty, and if he is, they don't care, right? Sean Combs is not going to, Diddy is not going to have any such luck. He can't run for president to stop this. But nevertheless, is it still likewise a case of lawfare, right? We know that lawfare is often referred to the concept of using the law and lawsuits to strategically suppress, a defendant, an opponent, to challenge them, to maybe even harass them, to intimidate them, to pin them to the wall, right? To humble them. You use lawfare to overwhelm them. It's almost like yeah, it's a kind of a war, right? It's a kind of war. And so, Diddy, we know, was arrested. Trump, too, was arrested at some point, but Diddy was arrested in September. And since that time, he's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, right? And there's just been a litany of lawsuits. I mean, a mounting series of lawsuits since that time. They emerge by the day, perhaps several per day, right? You have litigants all over the world, well, all over the US. I'm not sure if there are any international litigants who have been filing claims of, as assault and, racketeering and sex trafficking, all kinds of things against the defendant. Notably, most, if not all, of these plaintiffs are seeking monetary damages from the defendant rather than filing criminal charges, which implies, at least to my way of thinking, that there is a focus on financial compensation over punitive justice for this abuse, which is curious to me. It's very curious, especially when you're talking about children as young as 10 years old who are saying that, they were abused by this man in this way at 10 years old. They're now adults, obviously, and they're claiming that at 10, 12 years old, they were abused physically by this man. And so rather than filing criminal charges, all of these people are seeking monetary damages to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. I mean, there has been over 2 dozen lawsuits filed of this nature. And to me, this implies a focus on financial compensation, over punitive damages. And it's kind of, to me, like a little bit, I don't know, a little bit something. I don't know what the word is I would put on that. It's not to say that people have not been legitimately victimized. It's not to say that people who have been victimized should not seek justice. It is to say that it is an overwhelming number of lawsuits in a very short time frame. And for the types of charges that we're looking at, it is curious that all of them are seeking money and not criminal justice. We know one of the most sensational of these cases, or the most sensational, is Cassie's case. Obviously, his ex-girlfriend, they were together for 11 years and then they broke up. And then 5 years after they broke up, She apparently threatened to write a tell-all book about their, sexcapades and whatever, and to claim that he had abused her. And of course, there was a videotape of him beating her in a hotel hallway, and he quickly settled that case for $30 million, right? Could that be the reason that, any of these other filers, these purported plaintiffs, have decided to wage, war really against this defendant using the law to force him to pay them money, right? Is that what's going on here? Or do we have in every case, all 20, 25, 30, how many ever cases it is at this point, do we can we honestly say that these are all legitimate cases, right? People seeking justice. I mean, it's a relentless assault of lawsuits, and it's been intensified by the fact that he cannot make bail, right? And because, the prosecution has alleged that he has tampered with witnesses, right? And they are also threatening a superseding indictment to name co-defendants. Um, it is curious also that, no superseding indictment has yet dropped, because it's been a while that the prosecution has been threatening to drop one. And I think that that's, served to leave the defendant, Diddy, in limbo, right? And it keeps the public and legal pressure on him, in a very intense way, which adds to this whole feel that this could be lawfare. They're using the law to wage war against this defendant. Um, I think that, the sheer volume of these civil claims, all of which bypass, the criminal court and focus solely on financial, reward rather than criminal accountability, lends to this argument that this really amounts to lawfare against Diddy, by and large. Not to say in every case, but it is to say that as taken as a whole, it seems that they're using lawfare to pressure him, to break him, to get his money from him, because once he's locked up in prison in this manner, he's just obviously going to be more mentally vulnerable to bounty hunters and others who are seeking money, right? There are some legitimate cases, I'm sure, I hope. We saw him beat Cassie, and we've heard that there's a superseding indictment coming. But I would say that him beating Cassie is a question of domestic violence and not racketeering and some of the other charges that he has been charged with. And until I see evidence to support these charges, I mean, I can't even really say that I think that the case looks that strong. In fact, Diddy's lawyers have said that the accusations and the indictment is threadbare. I mean, there's no meat, there's no substance to it, other than this video of Cassie. I mean, what is the prosecution talking about? You know what I mean? That all said, I mean, to get back just to the topic, it's a question of lawfare. Whether is this man a victim of lawfare, or is he guilty of all of these charges? These 24, 36 lawsuits that have been leveled against this man. Is he guilty of these charges, or is this another case of lawfare? And is it even fair to compare Diddy's case to Trump's case, actually? I mean, what do you think about that? Am I comparing apples and oranges here? Tell me what you think in the comments. Tell me why you think one way or the other. Anyway, you guys, that's all for this one. See you in the next one. Do subscribe, you guys, if you like this content and support this YouTube channel. And hit the notification bell so you get my updates. Okay? Take care. Bye.